It's my great privilege today to present our 2020 and 2021 Distinguished Alumni Awards, and to tell you a little bit about two exceptional people. First, you may remember that last year we were not able to make a formal presentation of the award to our 2020 recipient. So today, we're celebrating two of our distinguished alumni as recipients of the highest honor UCLA Anderson gives to its graduates, and both are truly outstanding leaders and human beings. It may not surprise you to know that Stewart Bainum doesn't hesitate when asked about his favorite class at UCLA Anderson. Oddly enough, and it hurts me to say this, it wasn't finance. For those who know Stewart well, it will probably come as no surprise to know that his favorite class was about people, about managerial psychology to be specific, but essentially about learning how to understand other people and empathize with them in order to lead them effectively. It's a skill, a way of thinking that begins with self-awareness and is so essential to leaders and leadership. And it's a skill that exemplifies so much about who Stewart Bainum is, a principled, self-aware, strategic, and caring person who carries each of those qualities into his leadership. In an interview last year, here's what Stewart said about that class at what was then called the UCLA Graduate School of Management. He said, "The things I learned about myself in that course have stayed with me to this day. You go to business school to learn a lot of hard skills in marketing, finance, and so forth, but what resonated with me was the development of my soft skills in that class, not just how to receive honest feedback, but how to give it as well. That course," he said, "got me started on developing a greater degree of self-awareness and beginning the process of becoming a leader." Stewart has certainly put those lessons to good use, and we're proud to know that a business school course 50 years ago still resonates with a leader like him. In a long, distinguished career, Stewart has been chairman of Choice Hotels since 1997 and affiliated with the company since 1976. He's overseen its growth from a franchisor of 339 hotels under one brand in the US to a global corporation with nearly 7,000 hotels in more than 40 countries. For more than 10 years, from 1987 to 1998, he also served as chairman and CEO of ManorCare before its merger with Healthcare and Retirement Corporation. In Stewart's 26 years at ManorCare, the company grew in market value from $12 million to more than $3.5 billion. Importantly, he also created a customer-focused culture at the company, both for its customers and its 50,000 employees. And in 1998, Stewart founded Summerford Place Corporation and Artist Senior Living. Both are assisted living companies focused on memory care. And that's not all. He also served as a delegate and then as a senator in the Maryland General Assembly. He remains active in politics and in the community, serving on many boards. And more recently, and this is a prime example of how community-minded he is, Stewart launched first a bid to buy his hometown newspaper, the Baltimore Sun, and then Tribune Publishing, the company that owns the Sun, the Chicago Tribune, and a number of other newspapers. Stewart believes strongly in the power of local journalism as a foundation of American democracy. His bid for the Baltimore Sun and Tribune Publishing makes it clear that he's willing to make a very significant investment in order to try to strengthen these important institutions and help them survive. Here at Anderson, we're fortunate that Stewart is also a strong supporter of our school. Stewart has been a longtime member of our board of advisors and has been instrumental in connecting Choice Hotels to Anderson's MSBA program, both for recruiting purposes and for the MSBA's capstone data projects. He's also established 2 student fellowships at Anderson, including one that supports students who are interested in not-for-profit, socially responsible work. We and our students are grateful for all you do. Established in 2002, the Johnny Anderson Distinguished Alumni Award serves to recognize UCLA Anderson alumni who, like Johnny Anderson, have distinguished themselves through outstanding achievement in their professional fields and in service to their communities and their alma mater. It is the highest accolade for exceptional achievement that UCLA Anderson School of Management bestows upon an alumnus or alumna. Among those who have earned this distinction in the past are Johnny Anderson, our namesake, Gene Rosenfeld, for whom our library is named, Larry Fink, founder and chairman of BlackRock, John E. Parker, for whom our Career Management Center is named, Lonnie Ali, the noted philanthropist and widow of Muhammad Ali, Ambassador Lester Korn, the founder and former CEO of Korn Ferry, and a former ambassador to the United Nations. The Distinguished Alumni Award salutes the accomplishments of outstanding alumni whose personal lives, professional achievements, and community service exemplify the objectives of their alma mater. Please join me in congratulating Stewart.
Thank you, Tony, for that, what I trust was a kind introduction, and also for your wonderful leadership of Anderson over the last couple of years. Back when I was in business school, my favorite classes were brief, so I'm going to be brief today. And speaking of my academic career, such that it was, someone recently asked me, what was your favorite course? What's the best course you've ever taken in all of your years in school? And I didn't hesitate for 1 second before giving my answer. It was a course I took my first year here at Anderson. The name of the class was Managerial Psychology, and the highlight of this life-altering class took place over a long weekend at Zsa Zsa Gabor's house. Let me explain. It's not what you might think. I'm sure many of our alumni have no idea whatsoever who Zsa Zsa Gabor is or was. Zsa Zsa Gabor was a Hungarian actress and socialite known for her exotic beauty and charming, if ditzy, persona. She was married 9 times, once to someone in what would become my line of work, Conrad Hilton. She lived to be 99 and died just a few years ago, not only outliving all of her 9 ex-husbands, but she also kept almost all of their homes. But none of that really matters, as Ms. Gabor was not at her Beverly Hills mansion that weekend. Instead, for some reason I can't recall now, she lent her home to Professor Warren Johns so he could conduct a 48-hour workshop in sensitivity training. So over this long weekend at Zsa Zsa's place, my classmates and I engaged in what can only be described as an exercise in group therapy. The house was filled with the 35 students of UCLA's Unified MBA program. We sat through 3 formal lectures on various aspects of the interconnection between psychology and leadership, but the headiest part came in the hours in between, when the class broke up into smaller groups and engaged in deep, raw, and honest peer-to-peer conversations about our own psychological makeup, our self-perceived strengths, our self-acknowledged flaws. That weekend, I shared more personal details with my classmates than I would ever admit to my wife. But things didn't start to get really interesting until my friends and classmates started chiming in, filling me in on the flaws I had yet to recognize. And of course, for them, I was glad to return the favor. What might have been a scarring experience was instead a real revelation. And the things I learned about myself in that course and over that weekend have stayed with me to this day. And I also learned another valuable skill during that experience, not just how to receive honest and powerful feedback, but how to give it as well. So what I learned at UCLA in that class, and many others, were the skills I needed to lead a company. Sure, I learned the hard skills I needed: finance, operations management, marketing, etc. But more important were the soft skills of managing people, giving feedback, accepting criticism, and adjusting mindsets. I like to joke that I'm a natural-born leader because I meet the essential criteria of the job. I was the son of the company's founder. But the fact is, few, if anyone, is born with these necessary soft skills. And it was only when I gained self-awareness and acquired more empathy that I began the process of becoming a real leader. These soft skills are the attributes I worked hard to continue developing over the course of my career. How to listen and make people know they're being heard. How to communicate directly, but also at the same time compassionately. How to admit your mistakes and release yourself from the dangerous idea that you're always the smartest person in the room. And most importantly, how to give people the feedback that they need so they can take their talents to the next level and take the company with them. These are the leadership skills I learned at Anderson, and throughout my career have relied on them to expand the boundaries of my own abilities and capacities and helped others to do the same, which is why it is so fitting and why I'm so honored to receive this Anderson Award. So thank you, Jaja. Thank you all, and go Bruins.
That was wonderful. Thank you, Stewart. Our 2021 award recipient was a tech pioneer before many people were even calling it tech. Or if they did, it was often called high tech. Fresh out of her undergraduate years at UC San Diego, Janice Chaffin took a job at the UCSD Medical School, where she hand processed admissions paperwork. And as the school transitioned to automating those admissions processes, she was there taking part in that transition and learning. Janice says she found something interesting and exciting about the transition to a more automated, computerized process. And she saw the possibilities in application software and technology. At that point, she began exploring the idea of going to business school, choosing UCLA Anderson because of a program called Management Information Systems, which focused on systems analysis and design. That was the right approach, she said, because while she understands and appreciates technology, she wasn't all that interested in coding it. What I liked, she said recently, was that I could help put that technology into real practice around a business problem or business challenge. And UCLA, she added, had the greatest program. Another factor in our favor, Janice was from California, and she knew she wanted to build her career on the West Coast. Lucky for us. From UCLA Anderson, Janice went on to build a highly successful career at Hewlett Packard, holding a series of management positions, working in product management and product marketing before taking on broader executive roles at HP. She then joined Symantec as that company's first chief marketing officer, with responsibilities that grew to include corporate strategy, market research, public relations, brand management, advertising, and more. She served for 6 years as Symantec's group president for consumer business, maker of the world-leading Norton brand of security software. Under Janice's leadership, the company's global multi-billion-dollar consumer business grew quarter after quarter and garnered more than 600 industry awards for superior products. And with Janice's focus on the customer experience, Norton's customer satisfaction and loyalty also reached record highs and scored among the top consumer software companies in the world. She stepped down from that role in 2013. And around that time, she and former UCLA Anderson Dean Judy Olian caught up at a women's leadership conference, which quickly led to an invitation to Janice to join UCLA Anderson's board of advisors. Janice says she's enjoyed the opportunity to help Anderson transition to its current self-supporting financial model from the previous more traditional funding model and helping the school evolve and grow for the future. She also serves on the Easton board and as chair of the Alumni Engagement Committee. And as a tech pioneer, she's a frequent speaker at Anderson, whether in one of Bill Cockram's ethics classes or on panels or conversations about the importance of building a culture of inclusion in every institution. As leaders, Janice told an Anderson MBA audience in 2015, you need to believe in diversity, no matter who you are. Support those behind you and sponsor people to provide opportunity. It's our personal and professional responsibility. Those words ring truer than ever in today's world. Janice has received many awards and recognitions. She was named a recipient of Agenda's 2014 Digital 50, and in 2012, she was listed as one of the top 100 women leaders in STEM. In 2010, she received the award for outstanding achievement from the Family Online Safety Institute, and in 2009 was named Best Executive by the annual Stevie Awards for Women in Business. And she's the 2021 recipient of our Distinguished Alumni Award. Established in 2002, the Johnny Anderson Distinguished Alumni Award serves to recognize UCLA Anderson alumni who, like Johnny Anderson, have distinguished themselves through outstanding achievement in their professional fields and in service to their communities and their alma mater. It's the highest accolade for exceptional achievement that UCLA Anderson School of Management bestows upon an alumna or alumnus. Among those who have earned this distinction in the past are Johnny Anderson, our namesake, Gene Rosenfeld, for whom our library is named, Rick Kane, the well-known known investor and founder of Kane Anderson Capital Advisors, Johnny Parker, for whom our Career Management Center is named, Lonnie Ali, the noted philanthropist and widow of Muhammad Ali, and Bernard Briskin, for whom our plaza is named, who was the visionary co-founder of Gelson's Markets. Please join me in congratulating Janice on this much-deserved recognition.
Thank you very much, Dean Bernardo, for that very, very kind introduction. I am truly honored and extremely humbled to be included in this impressive group of John Anderson Distinguished Alumni Award winners. The accomplishments of that incredible group of individuals is really amazing, and I never imagined that I'd be included in such a list. This is a really special event, and it's too bad we can't all be there in person, but I want to take a minute just to thank my family and friends who've zoomed in to be here today. You're all very special to me. Thanks very much. And it's my 40th reunion year, so what a way to top it off. Anderson, or what was known as GSM when I attended, truly did impact my life and my career. I was the first person in my family to receive a college degree, let alone a graduate degree. And it was a big deal for me just to be able to go to college. My parents couldn't afford to send me, so I had to figure it out on my own, which I did. But I thought maybe naively back then when I went to UC San Diego that I'd find the one major that really excited me and really set me on fire. And even though I did a lot of exploring for different majors and did really well overall, I never found that one thing that set my interest on fire. I liked learning about a lot of different things, and it seemed like a big disadvantage at the time. Well, we're working after graduating, as Dean Bernardo said, I was exposed for the first time to the application of technology to business process. And that got me very excited. My work was pretty boring, processing all those admissions applications from all these potential medical school students. And to be able to just work on the parts of that process that were really interesting and fulfilling just made it much better. And if technology could do that for us, why wouldn't we want to apply it just everywhere? So at the time, UCLA was one of the few places that had any program that connected technology with business. So off I went to UCLA, to GSM, and into the Management Information Systems program. I applied, I was accepted, I was off. One thing in my life is I'm never afraid to take a chance, and I'm never afraid to change and grow. And that's what I was doing at UCLA Anderson, taking a chance. Well, Anderson truly did allow me to pivot my career and essentially my life in ways that I could have never imagined. The most impactful things about my time at Anderson were really pretty interesting. They weren't the academics, those were important, but there were three things that rise above all the rest. First was that through my experience at Anderson, I greatly improved my confidence in myself, in what I could accomplish. And I thought the students were incredibly supportive. The professors exposed me to things that I had never imagined were possible and offered guidance in a way that I'd never received it before. The second thing that I realized was I enjoyed learning about a lot of things. Well, that's actually an advantage in the world of business. You have to always learn about a lot of things. You have to learn how those things fit together, how they're systems. Becoming a leader in business really means that you understand that you have to thrive and understand that complexity. And I was able to do that. Lastly, and this really is extremely important, the teamwork and camaraderie that was part of my experience at Anderson was just unbeatable. And I wanted to have that teamwork and camaraderie when I went to work somewhere. And so I really looked for that everywhere that I took a job and entered the corporation. Teamwork is the foundation of any business or organization, and it's not a bad thing to have in your life either. And as Dean Bernardo mentioned, with the tech market really growing rapidly over the last 30, 35 years, I was fortunate to have a lot of really great roles. I was able to be one of the founders of a business that eventually became a multi-billion-dollar global business. I ran a couple of multi-billion-dollar global businesses. I really had that exciting career I had hoped for, but couldn't have imagined it before I went to Anderson. But what was interesting is during that 30 years or so, there was almost no contact with UCLA Anderson. I rarely thought about my time in the program. And then one day, as Dean Bernardo mentioned, I met Julie Olean again. And for those of you who know Judy, she's very persuasive. And the next thing I knew, I was a member of the Board of Visitors, now called the Board of Advisors. This re-engagement after so many years was like a snowball rolling downhill for me. I was invited as a guest lecturer in Bill Cockram's ethics class, spoke on diversity several times. I joined the New Eastern Technology Board. I worked with Jill Baldoff on alumni engagement. But best of all, I met a lot of really cool students. that are smart, that are thriving now, that are inventive, that are entrepreneurial. They are great. And that was something that I get from the experience. At this time in my life, I'm very lucky to get to choose most of the things that I do. And these things have got to be fun, fulfilling, and interesting. And that's exactly what I found at UCLA Anderson. Working with UCLA Anderson and the variety of these activities has really been a robust two-way street for me. I do contribute my time and my energy and some resources, but I get a lot out of it too. As a board member of several public and private companies today, those important lessons from my days at Anderson still hold true. I have the confidence, quite often as the only woman in the boardroom, to contribute my perspective and to make sure that I'm heard. I know the importance of culture, especially in a boardroom where diverse individuals need to act as a team to help the business succeed. And I still enjoy the complexity of new opportunities, thorny problems, and transformational challenges, which are often the focus of boardroom discussions. So thanks again very much for this truly amazing award. I learned to dream big at UCLA Anderson, but honestly, I never dreamed about this. Thanks again.
The next award is one that's near and dear to my heart. The Outstanding Alumni Service Award is presented to alumni who have consistently provided exemplary service to UCLA Anderson, enhancing the stature, success, and well-being of the UCLA Anderson Alumni Network, as well as the quality and reputation of the school. The 2020 recipient is our very own Mike Paola, president of the class of 1994 and board member of the Harold and Pauline Price Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation. Mike's service to Anderson began when he was still an MBA student. A class leader, he was focused on giving back to the school. Per his classmate, quote, Mike has always held a powerful vision of what UCLA Anderson is and can be. Similarly, he's always been a strong UCLA Anderson booster in business and philanthropic circles. He became class president in 2013, but his volunteer service began long before. He was on the class of 1994 reunion committees for the 5th, the 10th, the 15th, the 20th, and the 25th reunions. He hosted the 1994 reunion kickoff party at his home in New York City, and he co-chaired the class gift campaign in 2004, and he led the 25th reunion campaign. And I expect he'll be leading the charge for the 30th very, very soon. Beyond class activities, Mike is a frequent attendee at both Anderson and UCLA events in New York City and also in Los Angeles. He generously and frequently opens his home for Anderson events, which have been great engagement points for alumni in the greater New York area. During the recent Into the Next campaign, he hosted a campaign fellowship event featuring both Al Osborne and Bill Cockrum. In 2016 and in 2018, he hosted an evening with the UCLA Anderson Price Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation and another for the Anderson Venture Accelerator. He's a member of the Chancellor's Cabinet and the Dean Society. Most recently, he conducted an interview with Bill Cockrum for a stewardship video in 2019. Mike Paola is the founder and CEO of Threshold Worldwide, which houses his 10+ real estate, art procurement, product development, and lifestyle companies. Somehow, in addition to Anderson, Mike still finds time for other philanthropic ventures, both in the art world and combating homelessness. The Price Center's executive director, Elaine Hagan, says this about Mike, quote, the best way to describe Mike DP is as someone who shows up. As an alum, Mike has shown up for the past 25 years in a meaningful way, serving as a member of the board of directors of the UCLA Anderson Alumni Network, as his class president, leading multiple class reunion campaigns, as a board member for the Price Center, and as a host of numerous Anderson events at his home. Mike has mentored students, served as a sounding board for fellow alumni, and engaged with faculty and staff on a number of issues. Anderson is a better place because of Mike Paola, end quote. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to give you the 2020 recipient of the Outstanding Alumni Service Award, Mike DP.
Jill, thank you very much for that introduction. I also want to thank Dean Tony, former Dean Judy. I normally never have stage fright. I get on a stage and I can talk in front of thousands, but apparently I do have Zoom fright. So bear with me as I try and get through this. I wish you were all in front of me because I'd be a little less nervous. But one thing I did learn at Anderson, amongst other things, is how to adapt. And let's face it, when I did know I was receiving this award, I had no idea what a Zoom was. It was very quickly that we learned how to meet and adapt to today's environment. And I guess that's what we take away with 2 years at Anderson, is adapting. I feel we all have this little bag of tricks. We all have baggage, but we all have a bag of tricks as well, where we take those little hints and those little things we learn and we put them in a bag. You don't know when you're going to take them out of the bag. Some things go in a little zipper, some things fall to the bottom, but they go in the bag. For instance, 2 of my lifetime mentors, obviously, Bill Cockrum, who I'm still learning from every day. I have Rule of 72 in the bag. I have, why are we all here if we could be, clipping coupons on a beach somewhere, which at first I didn't really know what that meant. But people actually used to clip coupons from bonds for income. But I learned that. The Steel Chateau. I learned from Al Osborne, another one of my daily mentors, that yes, you can wear a baseball cap to a meeting, as long as you're wearing it professionally and it looks good, right, Big Al? But also in this bag, are other classes. I'm not going to say the classes weren't important, because they were. Sandy Sigaloff, Mr. Chapter 11, may he rest in peace. I love Sandy. Crisis management. First thing you do in a crisis, get control of the checkbook. Second thing you do is address the public. How many times have we seen in the last 25 years that not happening? We just saw it recently, but I'm not going to say a word. But Ronnie Goodstein, who's now teaching at, I think he's at Georgetown now, teaching us that marketing was more than just advertising Pampers and selling Pampers. So you put all these things in a bag, and maybe you'll use them, maybe you won't. That Rule of 72 that Bill Cockrum taught was pretty, I take that out often, just to shock friends and amaze people. And people always check their calculator. It's hilarious. But that's what Anderson was. It was 2 years of these amazing classes, but more importantly, it was with all these mentors, all these voices in your ears that you take along with you. I mean, I graduated 25 years ago when I was 10, but you take all this stuff with you, just waiting to unleash it, and it helps you along the way, not only in business but in life. So thank you for that. I learned how to give back from Anderson. It's very easy to pick up. So you look at Bill Cockrum as an example, and the fellowship that he just did, and it's all about giving back. And the karma is good when you do that. And when karma is good, good things happen. I truly believe that. So thank you. Thank you for this award. I wish I had 1.5 years to write it. And I wish I was on a stage, using my hands. Right now I have them tied down. But it's good, and I feel honored and appreciated, and I love doing what I do and being where I am and serving when I can. So thank you. Thank you, Jill. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Al. Thank you, Sandy Sigaloff up there. And thank you, Ronnie Goodstein. And thank you, to my classmates. It goes further. I mean, my friend Zan, who graduated with us, well, not with us, but she's part of our class, Jay's MBA. I just asked her last week, how do I stock my bar? And Zan, being the alcohol procurer aficionado that she is, basically told me how to stock my bar. John Long, his daughter, just helped me with, I run a gallery now, and we had a 6-hour soundtrack for our new show, and I was looking for more songs. I asked, John if his daughter could think, she's 15, I believe, think of, a song, and sure enough, one song, she says it's not on the list. So it's this constant learning from everyone around you, 25 years later. And that's why it's so special and important to me. And again, I thank Jill and Dean Tony and Dean Judy and Al and everyone involved. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Well deserved. Very, very well deserved. The Outstanding Alumni Service Award is presented to alumni who have consistently provided exemplary service to UCLA Anderson, enhancing the stature, success, and well-being of the UCLA Anderson Alumni Network, as well as the quality and reputation of the school. And it's now my pleasure to introduce the recipient of the 2021 Outstanding Alumni Service Award, Henry J. Brandon III, class of 1989. You may know Henry as the Chief Operating Officer and partner at Nile Capital Group, a leader in the financial world. But that wasn't the path he first set out on. His professional journey has been a circuitous one. Originally studying to become a doctor at Stanford, his focus soon switched to economics. After graduation, he pursued a career in professional tennis, eventually moving to the business world. We have Eric Mockover and Linda Baldwin to thank for convincing Henry that the newly named John E. Anderson Graduate School of Management at UCLA would be the perfect fit when he decided to pursue his MBA. Little did they know the impact Henry would have on Anderson in his work with the Reardon programs, improving lives and creating a pipeline for future MBAs. Or maybe they did. Henry became involved with the Reardon programs in his first year, helping to motivate first-generation high school and college students, as well as recent college graduates from diverse and disadvantaged backgrounds to consider and prepare for careers in management through education, mentorship, professional development, and leadership training. Henry helped run the program, going to the sessions and working with the mentors. After his second year, he just couldn't stop working with the program, eventually joining its board, on which he still sits. And yes, he is still a Reardon mentor 32 years later. Amazingly, Reardon is not the only volunteer board on which Henry sits. There's the National Advisory Board at Stanford, the Haas Center for Public Service, the Fulfillment Fund, and he's a founding board member for both the Advocates Foundation and the Englewood Baseball Fund. Over the span of 3 decades, he's continued to mentor, give guidance, and encourage hundreds of Reardon program participants to pursue higher education and business school. Henry's commitment to the Reardon program is a common thread of his service to the community, as he has been a guiding light for many Los Angeles youths. Henry has said that he sees his mentorship role as energizing, stating, quote, "I'm so excited the night before a session because I know I'm going to change lives. The work you can do to change someone's life for the better, I get so much out of this," end quote. Former Dean of Admissions Eric Mockover tells us, quote, "Henry has a special affinity for the young people he meets, and the relationships he develops with them appear to last lifetimes. At Anderson, his engagement with the students in the Reardon program has been truly noteworthy, and he has served as a role model and big brother to generations of Reardon students. It's obvious that positively impacting youth, and especially youth of color, gives Henry great joy," end quote. Henry, UCLA Anderson thanks you for the joy that you have spread and your exemplary service. You have definitely enhanced the stature and success of the UCLA Anderson Alumni Network and the reputation of our school. and we're delighted to name you as this year's Outstanding Alumni Service Award recipient. Congratulations.
Thank you, Jill. My friend, I'm grateful for that incredibly generous introduction. Congratulations to my fellow awardees. I am humbled to share this stage with you. Thank you, Dean Bernardo. Thank you, Dean Judy. Thank you, UCLA Anderson, and hello to the UCLA Anderson Bruin community, with a special shout out to the extraordinary Dr. Alma Osborne, my first professor at Anderson and lifelong mentor. I am extremely excited to be here, and I am humbled by this tremendous honor. I'm happy to have my name etched on this award next to Eric Mockover, who decided I was UCLA worthy, next to Kate, who's chairing this call, next to my fellow written board member, Stephen Torres, and my esteemed industry colleague, Jay Ferguson. If I'm disappointed about anything today, it's that I feel cheated. I didn't have the opportunity to walk up the steps and see Murphy Hall, or take in the spectacular panoramic view from breathtaking Marian Anderson Hall. Being here today is one of the great honors of my life. I'm so happy I get to share this award with a lifelong educator at nearly 90 years young, still spends the majority of her time outside the house in service to others, helping other people's children improve their reading skills. She remains one of the greatest role models in my life, and you all met her earlier, my mother, Miss June Brandon. Perhaps today she won't remind me that my sister Jill isn't too busy to call her every day. I am indeed blessed and proud to be part of the third generation of advanced degrees in my family. I'd like to note the three people who care so much about service to others and have had a big impact on me. My mother, June, my sister, Jill, and my wife, Monique, all have 3 degrees. So they are uniformly shocked and thrilled that I have finally achieved something that is academically related. I've always loved UCLA since my dad brought me to the Westwood campus to watch and meet UCLA legend Kareem Abdul-Jabbar when he was a student there. And on my MBA commitment day, Eric Mockover and Linda Baldwin spoke to me about the social contract I was accepting by coming to UCLA and the oversized expectations they had for me. I always knew that the classroom and the boardroom were only part of where I needed to consider excelling. I can remember back when my tennis career was ending, but when one door closes, another one opens. I was in North Carolina, coaching, sad, disappointed, and scared about the next steps, and close to enrolling in graduate school there, when my friend and fellow alum, John Harris, called me and said, "I want you to go to GSM." I gave him all the reasons it wouldn't work, and he just said, in the way John always does, "Just get it done, get back to me and speak to Linda." And just like that, he hung up. I never enrolled at North Carolina, and the seed was planted, and indeed Anderson was my destiny. My 2 years at UCLA were my most formative educationally. With no potential athletic career looming to distract me, Dean Mamer, Dr. Ochi, Professors Cochran, Roll, Schwartz, Klein, Buckley, and Rommelt brought business concepts to life and honed my critical thinking skills. And then Dr. Shirley and Dr. Osborne embraced me and pushed me harder than I have ever been pushed. Their concern for Black excellence changed my mindset forever, and I am so thankful for their guidance. Everything in my life changed when I entered that old building on Hillgard. And I took very seriously what Linda, Eric, Big Al, Bill Cochran, and Gordon Shirley told me, that I needed to commit to make things better. Frankly, these people saw more in me than my already inflated impression of myself. What I remember most about my UCLA experience, outside of the tremendous academic education I received, was how my intellectual curiosity was tested every day once classes were over by my incredibly bright classmates and the things they cared about deeply to make the world a better place. UCLA Anderson is a place where I learned that people use their unique skills, network, and intellect to listen to others, to help others, as I said, to make the world a better place. The Reardon program at UCLA Anderson, founded by my friend Dick Reardon, Bill Lucci, and Linda Baldwin, and UCLA Health, Sound Body, Sound Mind, founded by my friend Bill Simon, has been a blessing for me within the greater UCLA Anderson blessing. At Reardon, Roxanne and Alex have allowed me to inspire the next level of business leaders, while at the same time showing them how far an education and greater knowledge can take them. It's been a great ride, but there's so much more to do, and I'm really excited about the future. I thank you, Anderson, for this recognition. I thank you, but I thank you more for creating an environment where I can be my best self.
Thank you, Henry. That was so inspiring. It's because of alums like Mike and Henry that Anderson will continue to be that shining beacon on the UCLA Hill in Westwood. So we thank you so very, very much.